The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you once again for joining us for a Great Garment Graphics webinar. For those of you that are new to Great Garment Graphics webinars, my name is Allison Zuccaro, and today we will be presenting the topic of sublimated designs on a dime, the new look of sublimated twill. And I have not spoken to some of my regulars in a little while. I've been traveling on the road. Just came back from Long Beach last week, and God bless all of you, had some the opportunity to meet some of our webinar attendees, and everyone was just very wonderful and gracious and gave me some great feedback, and I really appreciate that. So thank you to all of those of you that I did get to see in the webinar last week. And keep the feedback coming, the comments coming. That's the type of information that we need and are looking for to help us develop some of our webinar presentations, videos, that sort of thing. So please, as always, please give us that feedback. We'd love to see it or hear it. So joining me today is Tracy Pritchett. Tracy will be on momentarily. Tracy has been helping Peggy and I with webinars behind the scenes for quite some time now, and today she's actually going to moderate for me. Peggy is out of the office on a much-needed vacation, so she'll be back next week, but today it's going to be Tracy and myself. So if you see any questions coming through, if you get answers to those questions, that's going to be Tracy that's answering those questions for you today. So please feel free to go ahead and input questions as always. So like I said, today we're going to talk about sublimated designs on a dime, and we're going to talk about the new look of sublimated twill. We're going to go to the next slide. Sublimated twill, I'm going to show you some pictures in a couple slides here, but sublimated twill is basically a way to get patterns and fills on your twill designs without having to actually use a pattern fabric like a flannel or a plaid. And the way it works is that we actually print, Stahl's ID actually prints the pattern that you desire or you order onto a white twill base. So it's one layer, it's the same great 100% polyester twill that you know and love, that you've used in the past and have had great success with, but now we're taking it up a notch, if you will, by offering various patterns with it. And the list is endless, and I'm going to later on in the presentation show you how to actually order some of these, and you can see all the different patterns that you can order. But they include camouflage, and there's many colors of camouflage. There's your standard camo, but then there's pink and green and blue and red and pretty much any color of the rainbow. Dot patterns, meaning polka dots. So you would have a solid background with various colored dots on top. Squares, this reminds me, I like to refer to it more of a checkerboard pattern. Your tie-dye, it's a multiple color tie-dye. A brick wall, animal skins, there's zebra, reptile, tiger stripe, there's quite a few. And then diamond plate, which is that nice, real manly, if you will, looking plated effect. And here's the first example we're going to talk about. And this is simple patterns. And simple patterns, basically when I was talking about the polka dots, the checks, the camouflage, and I just categorized these because they are very basic, simple patterns that we are all accustomed to. And this Burton that's up here on this blue shirt is actually a green with a white polka dot on it. And this is great because it could be any school color, any design that they were looking for. And here's an example of the camo, and that's the angels on this black shirt. And this is a pink camo. And the pink camo is really popular with the girls. you know, high school girls, dance teams, cheerleaders, just in general. Pink camo's been very, very popular. And this looks great even on a gray or a light pink. And then you have here's another rendition of the polka dot. Here's a checkerboard. And simple patterns is great because it can help you just add some personality or some pop versus just your standard solid cut product. So it's just a simple way to add some personality to, you know, the cheer squad, the dance team, the school that wants something just to put them above and beyond, set them apart from everyone else. Here's plaids, and the wonderful thing about plaids is that when you see the plaids that are available, every school, I really would challenge anyone school to not be able to find a plaid that would suit their school colors because the possibilities are endless. And you'll notice we're going to talk about this, but there's this kappa's, which is in a plaid, and this kappa's been sewn with a satin stitch around the edge on a pink hoodie, pink zipper hoodie. And this is one of the plaid patterns that we offer. The Sedona, this is another plaid pattern that we offer, and this is just heat applied onto a black fabric. And again, it's a nice rusty color orange. And then Lakers, and Lakers is that a blue and white, different shades of blue plaid. Again, you know, very popular for schools. Here's your animal prints, and I, you know, added the tagline here, make your designs exotic by adding animal prints. Animal print textures is so hot right now. Everywhere you look. In Long Beach last week, we're still seeing tons of zebra, tons of, you know, the cougar, just all that animal prints are just so popular right now. And this is a really simple, you know, Paris and our cheetah pattern on a pink t-shirt. You know, real simple, but again, going to give that that second dimension onto. And the great thing is this is actually twill, so it's going to have that raised, you know, rich textured effect that you get when you do twill or applique. And then we have the special effects that I talked about. The tie-dye, again, tie-dye is still really hot. The multiple color tie-dye, and this tie-dye is really fun in this font on this blue background. Here's your diamond plate that I was talking about, you know, your home repair, garage, truck, diamond plate look, and then your brick wall, which literally looks like a kind of washed off brick wall. And these are all textures that you can get, and it's definitely going to help your design, your customer to stand out, you know, in the stands when they have these various different designs on their garments. And this is just going to give you that edge. Okay. To sew or not to sew, and here's the greatest thing about, one of the greatest things about the Sublimated Twill. So the Sublimated Twill has a permanent adhesive on it, so there is no sewing required. This example of the Sedona is actually one of our plaid patterns, and all we did was heat apply it onto a black background. There is no sewing involved. It's permanent, it's not going to fray, it's not going to wash off, it's not going to wear and tear. You know, it's going to give with the garment, you know, just like twill always does, but you're not going to have any of those issues. So you can get that twill look without having the labor of sewing. And you know, this is fantastic on this because this black background really makes these colors pop. Alternatively, we have Sublimated Twill or Sublimated Sim Stitch, which Sim Stitch is this Lakers backpack that we have in the blue, and you can see the varying grades, shades of blue in this plaid on this picture here that I zoomed in on. But Sim Stitch actually takes the sewn look without the labor of sewing, so you still get that look of sewing. And what happens is there's actually a zigzag stitch that's etched onto this twill. And again, still permanent. And you can see this is the etching that I'm talking about with the highlighter. And when you heat apply this, it really makes that stitching contrast, especially if you use like a Teflon sheet, cover sheet over top of it. It's going to make those stitches real shiny, and it's going to give you a real nice contrast. And it is literally going to look like you have spent hours, you know, embroidering this on an embroidery machine. But the wonderful thing about it is that you can just heat apply it onto the garment. It's going to get that look, and you're not going to have that labor involved. So, and this is the sim stitch. And then lastly, oh, sorry, I forgot I put this slide in here at the last minute. Sim stitch is really great for applications that are hard to sew. Like this is a handled bag, and I actually heat applied this today, but this is a two-handled bag. It has like a rubber or textured coating on the inside. So this would be an item that I believe an embroiderer would find it classically hard to embroider. Because you're going to have to hoop these seams. So you're going to have some issue because your hoop's going to be, you know, you have to use a pretty big hoop. So you're definitely going to have to hoop those seams. And B, because of that coating that's on the inside. And also, you're going to need to be able to support this bag on a frame that's going to allow the underside of the bag to hang down. Otherwise, you'll sew through both layers. So this is great for items that, you know, embroiderers typically don't want to sew or are difficult to sew. A lot of times we'll say we'll take the job and we'll do it and we'll deliver and we'll charge for it. Might not always do it with a big smile on our face. So this is kind of one of those alternatives. And this was just the pink and black plaid, and we put it on a pink bag, and it looks really nice. Here's the last alternative, and the final alternative is to stitch the sublimated twill with a sew file that Stahls' ID can provide for you, and it will add another dimension, another texture, another color. And this is a great way to add color to your sublimated twill. So if you want it to look like a multiple color, you could sew this kappas instead of using this pink stitch that we chose to use here, so it kind of blends, we could use a contrasting color like this blue maybe, and it would give the design a whole different look or pop to it. And that's another alternative for you. So there's really three ways that you can do the sublimated twill. You can heat apply straight onto the garment, no sewing whatsoever. You can order the sublimated sim stitch, which is going to be a heat application, but it's going to have that stitched edge look to it. Or you can sew it onto the garment and give it that ultimate, you know, embroidery full dimension. Either way you choose, you know, it's going to be great, and there's going to be value added just by the fact that we're adding a pattern fabric to our garment. Okay. So I'm going to check. I know Tracy's on with us now. I just wanted to see if there was any questions, Tracy, that you can tell me we're getting that I might be able to answer before we go on any further.
Actually, currently I'm having some technical difficulties.
Oh,
I'm not able to see the questions at the moment.
Okay.
I apologize.
That's okay. Let me take a look here. Maybe I can see the questions. So let's see what we have. Make this a little bit bigger. Okay. Give me 1 second. Oh, one question was, is this twill or is this quick print? And this is twill. This is not to be confused with a regular vinyl or heat applied material. This is actually 100% polyester twill. And we had a great question from Tim. Can we get the sim stitch on our cutters? And sim stitch is a technique that is completed with a laser cutter. And it actually is lasered onto the twill. So that wouldn't be something that you'd be able to achieve with a straight cutter. So Another question that we have here is, can I buy the material plain to sublimate here? You can always buy material. Our Stalls ID Direct does sell the PermaTwill in white raw goods, so you can absolutely purchase that material, and you can sublimate it yourself if you want to. But it's 100% polyester twill, so sublimation works no problem. Let's see. Are these materials that we can sublimate onto, or are we ordering printed cut designs? Either way, the process or the service that Stalls ID Direct is offering right now is you order your designs cut out of the Sublimated Twill. And we can go ahead and do that for you, and this would be a custom made easy, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Or again, you can order the white twill yourself, and you can go ahead and sublimate it yourself if you want. So that would be that option. Can you buy it by the yard and cut on a Roland cutter? And the answer to that question is no. The sublimated twill is not being offered in yard goods. You can order the white twill, no problem, but the actual textured patterns as of right now are not offered in a yardage material for cutting. Is it available for us to do sublimation on our own? Again, we've covered that one already with the PermaTwill. Let's see, same thing, cut it myself. I think we've pretty much addressed all of these. You're going to get the pricing for this. One question is pricing. As we go through the rest of the presentation, I'll go ahead and go on to the pricing. So I'm going to get back to my presentation here, and I'm going to go ahead and go back in, and we'll get to some of those other questions that you guys have. Okay. Here's an example of the same plaid that we used, same sublimated twill plaid. This one was sewn with a royal blue stitching, and this one was sewn with a green stitch or a lime green stitch, all on the same ash heather gray. But you can see just by changing the thread color, you change the entire look of the design. And this is a great plaid because it has a variety of colors in it. So you can see there's just a lot of different ways that you can create that. Okay. And here, now we'll talk about Custom Made Easy. Okay. Custom Made Easy is the process offered by Stalls ID Direct, where you order custom letters, script with tail, there's block fonts we're going to talk about on the next page. And you specify the color, the font, the tail, the size. You can also choose, you know, if you want it to go on a button-down jersey, what type of split you want, if you want a 15-degree rotation, and there's several different fonts that are available to you. But you specify the design that you want and the colors that you want, and we will cut it for you. And the Sublimated Twill is available in this Custom Made Easy program. So this Burton is our Custom Made Easy, our Metro script, okay, with our ST11 tail right here. That's what you see, okay. And the pattern that was ordered, or the Sublimated Twill pattern that was ordered, was the green and white polka dot pattern. And then they specify the colors, and again, heat applied it onto blue. Right. And script letter is classic. Script lettering is classically known for that classic athletic look. And, you know, it's very classic. It's timeless. You're going to see script lettering. You know, we saw it 50 years ago. Probably still going to see it another 50 years from now. It's just, it's always going to go. You're always going to see it in the school, collegiate market, high school market. The great thing about the Sublimated Twill and being able to offer these patterns is that you can take that. A lot of high schools have very specific regulated designs that they're able to use. If it's anything that's going to be, you know, high school named, it has to be this script, it has to be this font, it has to be this school, you know, mantra, if you will. But you can change it up by adding the plaids, you know, some of the camouflage designs, and take that design up a notch and kind of customize it for the cheerleaders, the football players, the, you know, so on and so forth, and just make it a little bit different. So it's just another alternative. Okay. Here's some of the block styles that you can get available. And the block styles are cool because, as I put on here, use your block styles to take your designs up a notch. I mean, you can see, you know, some of these are just general block, but the zombie font, there's a grunge font, which is all chewed around the edges. This grunge font is the font that was used for the tie-dye one that we saw, the big sky. Whiteout looks, you know, kind of distressed. So it gives you that different look, and there's just a whole lot available here. As well as there's a lot of tails that you can get, that you can add, you know, this great flower tail, or flames would be really cool, that you can add to any of these layouts. So you have tons of layouts, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a layout. Again, it can just be straight, but there is italicized, slanted, you know, your classic arched, your wave patterns. So, I mean, the combining of the fonts and the layouts and the patterns and the tails, you could really get creative and make a whole lot of different designs. And then, of course, you always have your split front options. Okay. So here, long overdue, some questions we had previously. Here's the pricing for the Sublimated Twill. And the Sublimated Twill is available online with the Custom Made Easy. And I'm going to show you ordering in just a few minutes. But here's the basic price. And the really awesome thing I think about the Sublimated Twill is that there's a low 6-piece minimum. So you do not have to order, you know, 25, 32. You can order just 6, and you can order in individual pieces following 6. So you can order just the amount that you need, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But the price breaks are at 6 pieces, at 12, at 48, and 96. Because obviously the more that you order, you know, the less expensive the price is going to be. All of this grid on the left over here is referring to sizing, okay? And typically we say standard. Standard is your pretty much standard adult size. So if you're going to be putting something on an adult-sized garment where you want to fill 12 to 14 inches, this is the base price that you're going to be going off of, is this grid, this section right here. If you're doing cheerleading or youth, you know, you'll be in the small and medium range. But this is kind of when I'm talking pricing, this is where I base pricing on. And this is the pricing for all the Custom Made Easy. And the way the pricing works is there's a base price, and then if you're going to add a tail price. So if you were going to be ordering 6 pieces in a standard size, and like I said, standard for adult, in any of the patterns that we've shown you so far, and you're going to see the whole combination of them in a minute, it would be $6.16 each if you only ordered 6. Now that's $6.16. If you're not sewing it, there's no additional labor involved. The heat application is 350, 20 seconds. So in 20 seconds, for $6.16, you can literally have a garment done, created. You could very easily turn around and sell that garment for $35 or $40 because it's definitely going to have that look, that feel of twill. Okay. If you want to add a tail to it, you want that swoosh below it, or the flowers, the flames, anything like that, then you would add an additional $2.16 onto your base price. So still very reasonable. Even at the lowest cost alternative, it's $8.32 per piece. And obviously the more you order, the less expensive the price would be. So you could see if you had a nice size job, you know, 48, 50 pieces, you know, you could really bring your price down and create some really great profit margins there, especially again because you do not have to sew it if you do not want to. Now that is the Sublimated Twill. That is not the Sim Stitch. The Sim Stitch is the one that has the stitched edge, or the look of the stitched edge onto it. And I'm going to show you that pricing next. And it's going to work the same way. Okay. Here's the Sublimated Sim Stitch pricing grid. And same idea. We'll go with the 6 pieces standard with the tail. Okay, you're looking at, a little bit more price-wise here, but again, it's going to have that look of sewing. And Sim Stitch is just, our regular Sim Stitch and our solid color twills is just really flying off the shelves. Everyone loves it. They like not having to sew it and have that look. So here is your standard sizes again. For this option here with the tail, you'd be looking at $10.68 a garment. And again, 20-second heat application, and you're finished. Again, very easy to charge, on a nice hoodie, $50, $60, depending on your area, your market, obviously. But you can definitely see, and especially when you're talking about patterns, there's a perception in the industry, in the world, actually in the market, that if you're using, or if you have applique, or you have a pattern on it, whether it's felt, texture, flock a lot of times falls into that category. Your patterns, your camouflage, there's a perception in the industry that it's more expensive. There should be a charge for that. So the actual value and the perceived value are two completely different things. But when you're talking about pattern fabrics with the plaids and things, you can absolutely charge more than you would charge for just regular twill because of the fact that it has that texture, that pattern to it. And again, low 6-piece minimum, additional pieces in singles. Okay. So we talked about Custom Made Easy and how to order it. You can absolutely order this on the phone by calling, your Stalls ID representative. That's not a problem. They'll be happy to walk you through it. But you can also order online at www.stalls.com. And I'm actually going to go out to the Stalls ID website, and I am going to, oops, sorry, went a little too far. I am going to show you how to actually place an order for this. So, give me 1 second. Oh, my screen just went blank, sorry. We're going to go over to Stalls ID, and it's loading. Okay. So here we are, we're at www.stallsid.com, and if you're on the main page, you're going to want to go into your Custom Made Easy and your block or your script letter styles, it doesn't matter, and we're going to click, we're on the block styles now, so I'm going to click Order Now, and once I click Order Now, it should open up the order wizard for me and take me into placing my online order. I'm hoping. Oh, here we go. It's thinking about it. And it's been a few minutes since I've been in here, so I may need to refresh, but it's coming. Okay, so after you make your Order Now choice, you have, here's your Custom Made Easy options. The Sublimated Twill is going to be available in these first 4 options: script, single or double line, block, single or double line. Okay, so let's say we wanted to order a script text. So I'm just going to click on the script, Custom Made Easy, and it's going to open up the design wizard for me. And the really cool thing about the design wizard is when they redesigned this wizard, they did an overhaul on material type. It's automatically going to default to the material type of standard, which is the standard Custom Made Easy that Stalls ID's always offered. But in addition to that, as I hover over the various materials, the photograph on the right over here, you can watch this photograph and this verbiage here at the bottom is going to change as I go through different medias. And this is really important because it's going to give you, the customer, a real feel for exactly what you're going to get when you open that box. There shouldn't be any surprises. So this, I was very, very impressed with this because it really did help. But here's the sublimated twill option, and notice the picture is that Sedona, the same Sedona photograph that we showed you. So if I wanted to order sublimated twill, I would click my checkbox here, go down to my step 2 colors and materials. It is available as a one color because you're getting that texture, that pattern to it. So I would click the radial button for the one color. I'm going to go into my drop-down menu. This is my material choice, and the only option that's available to me is sublimated twill. When I click on the sublimated twill, the coolest thing happens. I think it's pretty cool, but it opens up the color palette. And here, let me move it down so you can see it. Why did it do that? Sorry, I can't grab it. Here we go. Just move this down. Okay, so here's the color palette. There's your camouflages. And remember I said there's tons of colors of camouflage. There's purple, there's orange, black camo. Here's your digital camo. There's the pink one, the pink urban camo, they call it. Jungle, you know, your woodland. There's all different kinds of camouflages. And the wonderful thing about this is you're going to see the actual color on the screen, so you know what pattern you're ordering. Here's your animal prints. Your leopard skin, your reptilian, tiger stripe, zebra stripe. And zebra is still one of the hottest patterns out there right now. Here's your symbol patterns, your polka dots, and your check boxes that we talked about. And you can just go through, you know, and take a look at some of those. Special effects, that's your tie-dye, your diamond plate, and your brick wall. And then plaids. And, you know, there's a pretty good array of plaids here. Colombian navy and white. Here's your green. Here's your yellow. There's that pink and black one that we were talking about. Here's your red plaid, which is really popular. A lot of gold. This is a great madras plaid, if you will. It's got the pink, the cyan, and the hot pink. And then here's your kind of standard black watch. But these are all the different plaids that you can order. Okay, and we're just going to click on that pattern there. And then as you go forward, notice now that it's telling me, okay, you picked plaid, lilac, amethyst purple, and then here, in case you know you're not quite sure that's the right one, here's an actual picture of what the plaid's going to look like. Right? Next, I can go through and choose, you know, do I want a connected cap or a non-connected cap? Here's my sizing options. It goes from small all the way up to mega. I'm not quite sure what size I need to order. If you click on this little question mark over here, right here, if I'm going to click on that, the website's going to tell me, it's magically going to appear in a second. There's a sizing chart there, and it's going to say small is, you know, 2 by up to so on and so forth. So here it is. A small size is 2 by 9.5 if I'm ordering a one color, if I'm ordering a multiple color. So here's my sizing, so I have a pretty good idea. Remember I said your standard size is pretty much what you're using for adult. That's up to 12 inches. So I'm going to be right in that 12-inch range as I go across. So we'll choose the size. Here's your layouts. Do you want it straight? Do you want it a 15-degree rotation, or do you want it arched? Your fonts, athletic, script, your brush, metro. Here's the different tails that we have available. Okay, there's quite a few. As we go down further, here's my splits. And splits are important because baseball season's coming. And your baseball jerseys, your zip-ups, you know, all your zip-up hoodies, You know, those are going to be really popular come spring baseball season, which we're all gearing up for. So there's a whole bunch of options available to you. An overlap split, an extension split, and you can choose. And then in step 9 is where I type the word I want to order. So I'm going to type tigers. It is case sensitive. And then in step 10, it's going to ask me for, do I want a sew disc? And I can click yes and fill out all my sew disc information. You know, my disc format, if I want it on a CD or a floppy, where I want my applique stop, what my embroidery hoop size is, and then quantity. Lastly, again, minimum of 6 pieces, but you can order, you know, in increments, in individual increments after that. Once I've completed my choices, I can add to cart. Oh, and it says I must select a font style. So it's not going to let me continue unless I do that. So I'm going to pick one, choose one. I'm going to add it to my cart. And that was just a nice little reminder that this is custom cut material, cut especially for me. And then you can see in my cart, you know, here would be the recap of what I'm actually ordering. Okay. We could do the same thing for the sublimated sim stitch, and the same option is going to be available for our, the sublimated twill, the sublimated sim stitch, and if you want to do the different fonts. Okay, so it's pretty easy to order. If you do choose to call in and place your order with a representative, I would at least encourage you to go on to the website and get as far as those patterns so that you can actually give the representative the pattern name that you want to order, so there's no confusion there, because we just want to make sure that you get exactly what you want. And I'm just waiting for my PowerPoint presentation to come back up, and I'm going to go into my PowerPoint, and then I'm going to go back over and see if there's any questions, which there was a lot of questions before, so I think there probably is more questions. So let's see, where did I leave off on questions? I'm gonna go all the way to the bottom. Okay, DJ is asking me, are there any garments not appropriate for this? Can it work on polyester mesh uniforms? Poly Twill is the adhesive that's on there is going to be for use on polyester and cotton if you're not going to sew it. So if you're only going to be heat applying it, you can heat apply it onto any cotton or poly 100% or blends. So it will be fine on a polyester mesh uniform, no problem at all. And then you could heat apply that. If you're going to sew it, it won't matter. You can heat apply it. It'll stay there long enough to actually do your sewing around it and stay much longer than that as well. So if you are going to be putting it onto a nylon product, then we would definitely encourage that you sew it. Here's a good question on application from Sue. When pressing a bag with the plastic lining, even with the Teflon sheet inside, sometimes the front fuses to the back. Do you have any tips to prevent this? Sue, I would use a Teflon pillow versus a Teflon sheet. Teflon sheet is still going to allow a lot of that heat through from one layer to the other. A pillow has a nice foam core inside, and that's going to isolate those two sections, and that should eliminate the two layers fusing together. But that's a great application question. Here's an application question on sublimating, and it's, if we sublimate the white permatwill, does the heat do anything to the adhesive backing? Because sublimation is done at 400 degrees. And yes, it will. What we recommend you do is put a cover sheet down, like a Teflon sheet, and then before you peel, you'll put your twill on there. Before you remove your twill from the cover sheet, you'll want it to let it cool and set back up a little bit, and then you should be able to move it. Okay, let's see. There's a lot of really good application questions. The lead time. The lead time is a really great question. Orders being placed today are giving us a lead time of the 31st, which is Monday. So it's about a 2 to 3 day turnaround time. That's very important though for when you're going to place those orders. Okay. Let's see. Okay, we talked about sizing, which is good. And I did show you the actual custom-made easy sizes, so I think I answered that question. Let's see. Let's see if there's any other questions. I think that we covered pretty much the basis of what I'm getting here. I will go through these questions after the webinar too, and if there's any things that I didn't answer, I will go ahead and email those people that pose those questions directly with your answers. So don't fret, I will definitely get to those. Okay. So we've talked about ordering. And that's the extent of the webinar for today. So now we know pricing, we know sizing, we know ordering, we have all the basic of information down. We finished on time, which is a record for me. Usually I go over, so that's a good thing. And I would like to thank everyone for attending today. If you have any questions that I don't answer or didn't cover, you can always email us at, you can go to greatgarmentgraphics.com, and at greatgarmentgraphics.com all of the videos of our webinars will be there, and we'll post this one probably first part of next week, so if you missed something, you want to come back and watch it again, you can do that. There's a blog on there. We try to blog at least 2 to 3 times a week, and there's a lot of good information in that blog. And then if you need to contact me directly, you can reach me at allison.zuccaro@greatgarmentgraphics.com. And our webinar schedule is also up there, and that's going to go through and tell you all about the webinars that we have coming up. We have lots of stuff coming up February and March, just in time for your spring rush. So I would like to thank again all of you for joining us today, and I appreciate all of your feedback, your comments, your questions. And if I didn't get your question answered, I will go through and I will make sure that I send you an email. So thank you very much, everybody. Goodbye.